Thank you for following Energy Efficiency Makeover 2012. Today we're going to talk about window replacement. And with me is Ed Hill. Ed is with our building and grounds crew at Arkansas Electric Cooperatives Corp. and also is a master carpenter. And let's talk about the windows. Behind me is a double hung window, and this is one of the window frames out of it. So they've been completely removed, and we're going to talk about what happens next. We know many of you are do-it-yourselfers. We would categorize this as an advanced project, but we know several of you have the tools and the means and the skill sets to do this. But what I wanted to point out here today is how do we make this thing efficient? We do have the Harry G. Bar window that's going to go in, which is a high efficiency window, but how do we treat the window after it's in to make it efficient and stop all the air infiltration? Well, Ed, what we have here, as we look at the frame, we have the wooden frame where the window travels up and down, and then there's several pieces of wood in here. Tell us about each one of those.
Well, we have, this was the frame where it ran before, and then right here was the trim piece that was also a runner for the outside of the window.
Is this where the window actually stops against to keep it from coming outside?
Correct.
So it'd be the window stop then, right? Okay.
Correct. And then we have just two trim pieces that covered the cavity of the brick and the wood frame.
Okay, so we've got the wooden frame, the wooden stop, and then two pieces of trim.
Correct.
And one thing that you'll note in there, that all those pieces of trim have small air gaps between those. And the blower door test revealed that we were pulling air all through those windows. And even the Thomases indicated that anytime the wind blew out here in the country, that their curtains would blow inside the house. So once the window's replaced, we're not done yet. The window is efficient, but after that we have to come back and we apply layers of caulking around the frame. We'll actually foam underneath the window to make sure no air can transfer either in or out. And then we're also using a new product that many folks are using on window replacement and new window installation. It's a mastic flange that has a real sticky back, and we will actually apply it over this wood, and it'll stop any ability for air to transfer in or out, and also stops moisture from developing as well. And once the window's set, the flashing's on, we'll come back with some aluminum trim that will be bent and fit properly around all these wooden pieces, and then we apply one final bead of acrylic clear caulking, and the window will be completely sealed and efficient for the dwelling. For the do-it-yourselfer, Ed, let's talk about how do we start. Let's say, for instance, the window was here and the sash is worn out. What does one need to do to begin to get the proper window?
Well, you have to, inside of your window, you have the track, and you have to measure from the side to side inside the track where your window is running, and that would be your width, and then also with your height. Also, it'll have it.
Okay,
so it butts up and trims out.
Okay, so on the inside width, we're on the interior inside the piece of trim here.
Yes.
So tape measure goes from
inside
point to point,
where your window is to inside.
And then when we're measuring the height, where does our tape measure go?
It goes all the way to the bottom of your window and all the way to the top where it seals off.
So bottom of the bottom sash to the top of the top sash.
Correct.
And those are the measurements that we would give to the window manufacturer.
Yes.
And then he makes the replacement.
And this is on a brick installation also. On a wood installation, you have your flanges on the outside, which you pretty much have to tear the outside off and pull that off, and you got your flanges to mount your windows by.
Okay, so brick, we're actually doing almost a perfect fit.
Correct.
And then the wood installation would have the nailing or flanges where we put a installation screw for attachment.
That's correct.
Okay, very good, very good. So how do we remove the old window? How does that take place?
Well, this one here, you know, all of them's a little different, but this one here, we just had to cut the stop off to get the outer window that was raised. We had to cut it off just to get it out, and then from there you got a metal track that run inside here that held your second window in, and you had to remove it, and all of it came out together.
Okay, so to remove the stop, we need a sawzall, or even a chisel. If somebody had a sharp chisel and was patient with the hammer, they could remove the stop, and then the window parts come out.
That's correct.
Very good. Okay, anything else that we're missing as far as removal of the window?
No, you just have to be careful when you measure them windows and give yourself a little bit of slack, because if you don't, because they come with the foam on the outside of the windows anyway to seal off. And if you get them too tight, you will really have a fit.
Okay. Thank you, Ed. As Ed was saying, the old window frames had several layers of wood as a result of it being a brick framed house. We had the original stop that held the window sashes in the frame, and then we had some layers of wooden trim that followed that stop to the outside. And each one of those had an air gap in between it. And so if we don't address that now, then that enables air to infiltrate the house once again. So we're trying to eliminate that. And just to give you an idea, I have a standard Leatherman knife here with a 2-inch blade, and you'll see that we can insert that knife all the way in behind the brick veneer. But you recall that BPSI foam insulation put some foam in behind the brick, so once we fill this air void between the frame and the retro foam, now we'll have a complete seal. Not all windows are alike, so when you're looking at replacement windows, look for the NFRC sticker. The NFRC is a nonprofit organization whose goal is to provide fair, accurate, and reliable information about their products so you can make conscientious decisions. You'll note that our replacement windows have a U factor of 0.30. U factor is the inverse of R value, so we recommend low U factor windows for the state of Arkansas. A low U factor value equates to a higher R value. Furthermore, our windows also have a solar heat gain coefficient of 0.22. Solar heat gain refers to the sun's heat that radiates through and is emitted into the house. So we recommend a low solar heat gain coefficient for this region or climate within Arkansas. So if we were to replace windows in Minot, North Dakota, say for instance, we would want to use a high solar heat gain. This would allow the sun's radiant heat into the house, and that's the last thing we want in Arkansas as we're trying to cool the house. So since Arkansans spend a great deal of their hard-earned money on cooling their homes rather than heating, we recommend a low solar heat gain coefficient.